You can see behind me police presence already mounting here outside the Royal Courts of Justice, where I'm here to cover the first day of the judicial review of the then Home Secretary Yvette Cooper's proscription of Palestine Action as a terrorist group. Now, a lot has happened in the last few months. When Huda Amori, co-founder of Palestine Action, won the right to have a judicial review, the government took her to court to try and overturn it on appeal. They lost that appeal, and Amori was granted 2 further grounds on which to make her case that the government acted illegally in prescribing Palestine Action. Now, there was a twist in this tale last night when it emerged that the judge in this case, who had heard all the previous cases, a judge called Chamberlain, had been taken off the case and replaced by a panel of 3 judges, 2 of whom have records of ruling in favour of the government, one in particular in favour of continuing the export of F-35 parts to Israel. At any rate, there'll also be a big protest here today, more people coming to sit down peacefully in a vigil and hold up their illegal signs facing arrest under the Terror Act. We're at the Royal Courts of Justice, obviously, where the judicial review against the ban is being held. How much faith do you have in the process?
Well, after the one judge has been removed, my confidence is diminishing. I worked in a magistrate's court many years ago, and I learned very quickly that the legal system, the justice system, has very little to do with justice. And so I think this is likely to be politically motivated, and I've no idea what's going to happen.
How much faith do you have in the process that's happening behind those doors?
Well, since they took away the judge that originally said that this could go ahead, I have no confidence whatsoever that they'll actually come to an honest decision.
I think it's bizarre to proceed with charging and trials while the whole business of the proscription is subject to legal challenge.
If this prescription stands, do you think you'll carry on these protests?
Very likely, yes. I may take a pause, but I will carry on.
Why is it so important to you?
I think for 2 reasons. One, I don't think the genocide issue in Gaza has concluded with the ceasefire. The ceasefire is fragile. We continue to supply arms to Israel, and that is the reason. That's the original reason why I sat, was to stop the flow of arms from Britain to Israel, and also to protest the proscription of Palestine Action. Their fault, they have a fault, and their fault is that they have made the government embarrassed by drawing attention to the shipments of arms from Britain to Israel. In addition to that, it does seem that this is an extension of restrictions on the right to protest. So I've been arrested for protesting before, but I've never been arrested under the Terrorism Act. That does seem bizarre. And I think possibly the reason for this, the way in which the government have been allowed to do this, is Jack Straw's bizarre redefinition of what terrorism is when he pushed through the Terrorism Act in 2000. 7/7, 9/11, that's what the man in the street understands by terrorism, not a whole load of people sitting on the pavement holding pieces of cardboard. How is that terrorism?
Over 2,000 people arrested so far. If this prescription holds, presumably they will all then perhaps face charges under the Terror Act. What does Amnesty make of that?
254 people so far have actually been charged for those offences. The CPS have indicated every intention of continuing with that. There will be many more if this prescription stands. We regard all of those arrests and certainly charges as in themselves straightforward breaches of international human rights laws when it comes to freedom of expression and freedom of assembly rights. These are entirely peaceful protesters expressing opinions that they are entitled to hold in a peaceful way. They are not inciting violence, they are not inciting hatred or discrimination. They are the grounds under which, in human rights terms, the state would be legitimately entitled to interfere with people's speech. It is obvious to everybody that that's not occurring in these cases, and so those arrests are in breach of international human rights law.
If they uphold the proscription, will you carry on these protests?
I think we have to. Yeah, I don't think we have any choice. We've got to keep the momentum going, and I'm quite sure there are plenty of others who will carry on.
If the prescription stands, you don't intend to stop these protests?
Not at all, not at all. I'll get a bigger sign.
Protesters are now about to hold up their illegal signs, the signs that contravene the Terror Act. Some support there from the street. We don't know how long it will take for police to move in. Since they're outside the courts on a road, I imagine it'll be pretty quickly.
History will look back
I'll
on
put this
you
in my pocket
with shame and disgust.
First arrests being made now outside of the Royal Courts of Justice. I'm going to see if I can get a word.
It's ridiculous, and you know it's ridiculous.
No, just this
Absolutely
one.
ridiculous. I'm not.
Walk to the bus.
No, I'm not. Shame on you.
Well done, we're proud of you. Yeah, they're moving in very quickly now. There's a line of police in groups of 2 or 4, depending on whether the person is going to go with them voluntarily or whether they are going to go floppy and be carried away. I said police are moving in, people around you are being arrested. Any thoughts?
Yes, my turn next, probably.
How does that feel?
I'm okay with that. I'll probably be carried. We'll have to see how we go.
For supporting a prescribed organisation. You don't have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention when questioned something which you later rely on in court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence.
All right, clear away, please.
It's amazing that people are being arrested for entirely peaceful protest. And it's even more astonishing that during a court case to decide whether the prescription is unlawful or not, where the appeal court has accepted there is a valid question to be heard as to whether or not the prescription is unlawful or not, during that case they're continuing to arrest people in what is quite likely to be found to be unlawful arrest at the end of the case in a few days' time. This is absolutely ludicrous behaviour by the Metropolitan Police. The kind of kangaroo court process that's been organised by Judge Snow, whereby nobody will have time to put their case properly in court, is just appalling. It really does make it hard to recognise the United Kingdom as a kind of country we once thought it was. But this is not something that happens in a democracy. In a democracy, you don't arrest people for having placards and signs, for acting in an entirely peaceful and friendly way. I've seen people cooperating with the police who are lifting them to take them in. These are not people who are in any sense a danger to society. It is an astonishing thing that this is happening. And I do say, I think the policemen who are doing it should be personally deeply ashamed of themselves and should be deeply ashamed to go back to their families at the end of the day and tell them, when their children ask them what they've been doing today, I'm really interested to know what they say to them, because I couldn't do it. I don't think anybody with any conscience could be doing this.
I came over because I saw you wearing a dog collar, so you're in the clergy?
Well, I'm a retired United Reformed Church minister, yes.
What are you doing here today?
I think genocide's a very bad idea, very bad indeed. That's why I'm here. I'm here really because that place over there, King's College, where I studied theology some years ago, and then all about what the Old Testament and about what Christ said about peace and non-violence and truth, and I kind of take it seriously.
What will you do if the prescription is not overturned? If it continues, will you continue to protest?
Till they sit me in jail, yeah.
You're not afraid of going to jail?
Yeah. Yeah, I've got kids and grandkids, yeah.
And what do they think of what you're doing?
My daughter's really supportive. She's got a little kid, otherwise she'd be here herself.
This lady was very brave and sat outside the Home Office on Monday. And after 47 minutes, she was informed by the police that she would be arrested and the baby taken into care. So she chose to leave at that point to protect her baby. She's sitting again today because she is angry about what's happening in Gaza and the fact that she was lied to by police, because she subsequently found out as she's breastfeeding, the baby will not be removed from her. She is incredibly brave, like everyone here, but outraged at the overreach by the government, by the genocide in Gaza. Her husband is supportive, and he will be doing the school run to pick up her first child, who had just started school.
If we haven't won the fight against this prescription, there's still work to do. And I think there will be work to do anyways, even if we overturn this prescription and the courts actually give us the result that everyone in this country is hoping for. Even then, there is a lot of work to be done because our judiciary currently is corrupt, our government is corrupt, and we need to fix that. And it can only be fixed by people coming in and working together. And I think that's the beauty of these protests, is that we see different faith groups, we see different parts of our civil society coming together and actually fighting for the same outcome.
I think this is like my 6th or 7th of these Defend Our Juries protests, where people are holding illegal signs in support of Palestine Action or against the prescription of Palestine Action is perhaps more accurate. And at this stage, there are so many faces that are really familiar to me. I mean, I think there are people here for their 5th or 6th time, being arrested for the 5th or 6th time. No sense of them thinking that if this prescription is not overturned, that they're going to just suddenly stop doing this. There are also plenty of people here for the first time. So this all began as a story about Palestine Action and the prescription of a domestic direct action group by the government using laws intended for serious terrorist groups abroad who threaten the safety and the lives of people in this country. And it still is about that story. That's the case that's being heard today, whether or not that's legal. But it's also become a much larger story about justice in this country, because behind me, all these people who will now be arrested, when you witness that, there's a sense that there is something out of control when it comes to the justice system, or there's something authoritarian about the way in which it's being wielded against the people who are supposed to be protected by it. It started as a story about one group and an unjust prescription of that group, you might think, and it's become a much more revealing story about the nature of justice in this country and the weakening of that notion for many of the people who live here.
We are a justice-seeking people, and we're singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we're singing for our